February 1959. The frozen Ural Mountains of Russia. A place locals call the Dead Mountain. 9 young, experienced hikers set out on a challenging skiing expedition, led by Dyatlov. They were fit, prepared, and full of excitement for the journey ahead. They pitched their tent on a remote slope called Kolet's, and then they vanished into the night. What happened next is one of the most chilling and perplexing unsolved mysteries in modern history. This is the Dyatlov Pass incident. The group was made up of students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, all in their early 20s, and all grade 2 hikers, meaning they were highly skilled in navigating harsh wilderness conditions. Their plan was ambitious, a difficult trek through the unforgiving Siberian winter. Recovered photographs from their cameras paint a picture of a happy, cohesive team. We see them building their tent, laughing together in the snow, enjoying the brutal beauty of the landscape. Their last diary entry was filled with jokes about the cold. Everything was completely normal. And then, there was only silence. When the group failed to check in at their destination, search parties were dispatched. On February 26th, rescuers made a deeply unsettling discovery. They found the tent, half buried in snow, but it had been viciously slashed open from the inside. Stranger still, there were no clear footprints leading away from the tent, just a confusing jumble of tracks heading down the slope. It seemed the hikers had fled in a panic, bursting out of their only shelter into the lethal -30°C night, many of them barefoot or wearing only socks. The search for the hikers themselves revealed an even more horrifying scene. The bodies were found over the course of several weeks, scattered across the desolate slope. The first 5 were discovered near a small, makeshift fire under a large cedar tree, about a mile from the abandoned tent. They had desperately tried to light a fire, breaking branches from the tree above them, but ultimately succumbed to hypothermia. The other 4 hikers were found much later, almost 3 months after the incident. Once the winter snow began to melt, they were located in a ravine, deeper in the woods, and their injuries were baffling. 3 of them had suffered massive internal trauma, crushed chests, and fractured skulls, injuries that medical examiners compared to the force of a car crash. Yet, bizarrely, they had no external wounds, no bruises or soft tissue damage that would normally accompany such devastating injuries. One of the women was found missing her tongue and eyes. To make things even stranger, some of their clothing was found to contain significant traces of radiation. There were no signs of a struggle, no indication that another person or group had been there. The final, haunting piece of evidence came from one of the hikers' cameras. The last photo on the roll was a blurry, frantic shot of strange lights or glowing orbs in the dark night sky. Adding to this, witnesses miles away reported seeing bright orange spheres floating over the mountains on the very night the hikers disappeared. The official Soviet investigation was concluded quickly, almost too quickly. The final report stated the hikers had died as a result of a compelling natural force. The prevailing theory was an avalanche, but this explanation has been heavily criticized by experts for decades. There were no signs of an avalanche, no debris, and the slope itself was far too gentle to produce one of significant force. Plus, why would experienced hikers pitch a tent in an avalanche-prone area? And why would they cut their way out of the tent instead of simply using the entrance? It just didn't add up. Over the years, dozens of other theories have emerged. One of the most prominent is that the group stumbled upon secret military testing, perhaps a parachute mine or another experimental weapon detonated nearby, causing the concussive injuries and the panic. The presence of radiation on their clothes seems to support this idea. Another theory involves infrasound, low-frequency sound waves generated by the wind, which can induce feelings of intense panic, nausea, and terror in humans, forcing them to flee their shelters senselessly. Then, there are the more fringed explanations. Some have suggested an attack by a menk, the Siberian equivalent of a yeti, pointing to large, unexplained footprints found near the site, though investigators dismissed them. Or perhaps it was a cover-up. Did the group witness something they weren't supposed to see, like a secret missile launch, and were then silenced? Declassified files from the Soviet era were released in the 1990s, but they revealed nothing conclusive, only deepening the mystery. Even recent reinvestigations between 2019 and 2021 failed to provide a definitive answer, once again vaguely blaming a compelling unknown force. The local Mansi people have always avoided the pass, calling it cursed, and have their own ancient legends of glowing lights and hunters who vanish without a trace. Over 65 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains a profound and disturbing enigma. The families of the 9 hikers have spent their lives searching for the truth, a truth that seems to be buried as deep as the bodies were under the Siberian snow. Modern expeditions to the pass continue to report strange anomalies, compasses spinning wildly, equipment failing, and a pervasive, inexplicable sense of dread. Was this a case of nature's cruel power, a dark human secret, or was it something else entirely, something beyond our explanation? The mountain holds its secrets close. The void remains. What do you think really happened on Dyatlov Pass? Was it an avalanche, a military experiment, or something supernatural? Let me know your theory in the comments. The best ones might get featured in a future video. Thank you for entering the shadows with VOIDXS. If this story chilled you to the bone, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. We have new long-form mysteries every single week, with daily shorts on the way. The void is always watching, so stay curious.